Welcome, everybody, to Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hobson of PunchDrunkCritics.com. And on this week's show, you can tell from my background that we are talking about Jared Leto. Well, we're talking about Morbius. We're talking about Jared Leto in Morbius. And joining me this week is my buddy, who you see on the left, Chris Bumbray of JoeBlow.com. What up, Chris?
Hey, everybody. Well, you're of JoeBlow.com as well, too. I mean, you're
Joe
of Joe Blow Originals.
Too, I'm like freelancer dude for Joe Blow.
Yeah, but you're like turning into like almost like the voice of Joe Blow Originals. Like you're doing a lot of the shows, so you're like
on the regular payroll. I'll do all your voiceover.
Like the voice. You're doing quite a few of them. Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'm on quite a few. And you're on quite a few.
You do a lot of them too.
You're probably like the third or fourth most prominent voice, I would say, probably.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't feel that like that. I don't feel that much pressure anymore. I'm like,
yeah, but pretty high. Pretty high up. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Man, but yeah, you do a lot of them too. Because when I turn into a video more often than that, I hear your voice. So
I do them a lot, but I do them differently than a lot of other people. Because I just literally, it's like if we're stuck on something, I'm like, well, I can take care of this, and then and I just like kind of go and then send it off. Ready. 10 minutes, no problem. Can you hear Hercules crying on some of them? No. Yeah.
The voiceover stuff with Joe Blow is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love doing that stuff with you guys. All right. So this week we are talking about Morbius. This is the latest film in the Sony Spider-Man cinematic universe, or whatever that long-winded title was.
I just call it the Spider-Verse, but it is Sony's Spider-Man universe, which is
Sony's Spider-Man universe or cinematic universe or something like that. And this is, I guess, officially like the third film in that. You've had the two Venom movies.
No, I mean, I was thinking about that. Like, no, I think that like all of the Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield technically or retroactively are Spider-Verse movies. And then there's definitely Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I feel like they're going to tie in at some point, maybe. You know, like I always felt that the character that Jake Johnson was voicing in that was supposed to be Tobey Maguire, you know, like to some extent. Like I don't know.
I thought that.
Yeah, so I feel like that is they're all kind of tied in. So it's for me, we did a ranking on the site this week, and like Morbius for our count was like the 12th, but that's retroactive though, because a lot of other stuff now are all of a sudden Spider-Verse movies, you know.
Right. But I mean, like, in terms of like this new. This updated, this newer,
planned. I think it's the third planned one. Yeah,
this planned one that they've got, and it should have come out like 2 years ago.
You know, it's so weird. It was shot before No Way Home. Yeah,
it's been shot. It's been ready to go for a while, and for various reasons, mostly COVID related, it has been getting pushed back and pushed back. It stars Jared Leto as Dr. Michael Morbius, a scientist with a rare blood disorder. In an attempt to cure himself using vampire bats, which sounds
great idea.
That sounds safe.
Never seen a movie before.
He develops a disorder of a different kind. He becomes like a vampire with different abilities, and of course, he keeps the thirst for blood.
It feels almost like a werewolf movie to some extent, though. Like I felt it had more in common with a werewolf movie than a vampire movie.
Well, I was talking to a friend because I was watching it with my friend Nell Meno.
And, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we were hating life watching this thing. We were just watching it. We were watching it, and I was like, well, you know, it's a shame that this is like the Sony verse, because the issue that he has is the same issue that Blade has. It's like it's exactly the same. It's like they could,
but they could
share artificial blood or something.
They might kind of, you know, I don't know. I really feel that you're gonna get with Blade with Mahershala Ali, sooner or later Snipes is gonna show up as Blade. I think it would be stupid if they didn't, especially if they've started up the multiverse. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up in Doctor Strange. But I do hope that if he shows up, he comes in and they're playing Confusion by New Order in the background.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I think there's a 100% chance that we see Wesley Snipes as Blade in some way.
Yeah, I totally think so. I think that's why he's been so cool with them on Twitter, because he knows.
Yeah, he's too popular. People still like him so much.
Yeah, they're probably like, it's not over yet. You're going to be back.
Those movies are iconic still. I mean, people love them. and people love him as people still want him as Blade. So I mean, come on, man.
Funny story though for Morbius. I did the junket for this, right? And it was awkward because it was like the interviews went fine and everything, but then it was like when I left the screening and I got the note from the rep like, hey, how'd you like it? And I was like, I mean, I didn't hate it as much as most people. It's funny, I gave it a 6 on 10, which is like a rave compared to most people. But I thought it was like a generic, it felt like a generic like Screen Gems horror action movie from like the 2000s.
Yeah,
which I was fine with, but it's not, it doesn't hold a candle to anything.
It's like a Screen Gems movie. I mean,
yeah, but it doesn't hold a candle to like newer stuff. So I was kind of like, it was fine, like I couldn't, that was a bit awkward.
I have issues all over the place with this thing. So Morbius develops his thirst for blood. He kind of becomes like an anti-hero, kind of, but not really. Most of the time he's dealing with his best friend Lucius, played by Matt Smith, who let's remind people said that he doesn't understand the moviegoer's character. So that should tell you a lot. Lucius has the same blood disorder, but when he gets a taste of the cure, he decides to just go all in and be like, "Hey, we're superior. Let's just go and live life and kill whatever he wants and drink blood from whoever he wants." And Morbius does not like that. So they become at odds. Yeah, their whole clash never made any sense to me. Like,
well, and it's so like it's the last 20 minutes of the movie. Like it comes along. So it's like they needed to give him an antagonist, so they just threw one at the last minute.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like he wants his best friend to join him, but he spends the entire movie trying to kill him, so it doesn't make sense. He's like going against his own thing.
And then it's the same thing as Venom too.
What?
It's like it's got it's got a first and a second act, and then they left off the third act and they just ended it.
Yeah. When we were watching it, we were Nell and I we turned to each other at the exact same time. You had Jared Leto, Matt Smith, and Jared Harris all in the same scene. And we're like, any other movie, this is fantastic.
Oh, and Jared Harris is barely in it. Like, what? Why bring him in for like this nothing role?
He's in it to do it for exactly what happens to him later in the movie. That's why he's And we were like, any other movie, this is fantastic seeing this trio in here. Like, well, other than Jared Leto, I think Jared Leto's garbage, honestly.
I like Jared Leto. That's the thing, though. That's the thing about some of the reviews. I feel like a lot of people, there's something about him that really rubs a lot of people the wrong way.
I'll tell you what rubs me the wrong way about him. I feel like, and I said it in my review, I said, it seems like he's always off doing his own thing, like in every single movie. And more often than not, even when he's decent, like I actually think he's decent in this movie. Like, I think this is one of, ironically for someone who's playing a superhero vampire, this is one of his more scaled down performances.
Yeah, it is.
And yet, it's not the performance the movie needed. I needed him to be more over the top for this. Like, I wanted him to be like, he needed to be on Matt Smith's level. And I was kind of
should have done Morbius as like his Kawaguchi.
He should have had Matt Smith be Morbius.
You're not wrong there. You're not wrong there. That could have been something that they did. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen that. He should have been like on the Matt Smith level or the Tom Hardy level or something. He should have been more like that for this movie, I think.
I feel like they told him to like scale it down, and he did, and maybe that was the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Scale it up. But there's some weird things in the movie, though. Like, what is Tyrese doing in this movie?
Why is he in this?
Yeah, like there's no point. He doesn't get any action.
He has a high-tech arm.
Nothing. He's like the comic relief. Like there's nothing. He gets nothing to do.
He's walking around with Al Madrigal doing procedural stuff, and I'm like, why did you get him for this? Like,
it could have been anyone.
Could have got
and it's like Tyrese, and they build him up as like this ex-soldier and stuff like that. And like I was like, oh, he's gonna get in on the action. They're gonna fight or something.
And most people have noticed it. It's been, like I said, it's been 2 years. There's a lot of footage seen in trailers that doesn't make it into the movie.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it, I feel like his part was substantially reduced.
Yeah, like why didn't he fight? Like it's kind of like I thought there should have been more action in it too. I think it was lacking action.
Is really lacking in action, which, like I said, which is like criminal to be lacking in action when you got a guy like Tyrese, who people are there to watch mainly because they like him in action movies, and then you don't really use him. Now I know he signed a 3-picture deal, so they're probably like expecting to expand on his character later. But this is like the problem I had with Sony when they first started doing all this stuff, because this isn't the first time they tried a Morbius movie. They were talking about it during the Andrew Garfield days, and their problem back then was that they were looking so far ahead that they forgot to do 2 good Spider-Man movies in a row. And
that really is the issue. Yeah,
it seems like they're still kind of having that same problem, because you're talking about you want to do more with Tyrese later, but you probably should do something with him now, because you don't know how far this is going to go.
Yeah, no, and I mean, they have all the hints at the end with like Michael Keaton and stuff like that were clearly added, post No Way Home, and it's just, they should have focused on doing a really solid movie and a really solid start. And there's always like those cliche moments, right? Like, I don't know why there's always a part in these superhero movies where this guy goes to the bar to pick up chicks and shows off his powers, right? It's always so weird when that happens. And then they waste these amazing actors, these nothing roles, like in Venom 2, when you had like Stephen Graham show up, off of The Irishman, and he's got this nothing part. Why is he there? Same thing. Why is Tyrese there? Why is Jared Harris there?
Yeah, I don't understand.
I kept waiting for Jared Harris to be like unveiled as like a villain or something. That would have been good.
You wanted Jared Harris to be like the mastermind behind something, but he's just not. He's just there. I don't know. This felt like a paycheck role for him.
Adria Arona's character seemed like was cut as well. Like there was like she disappeared for a big chunk of the movie.
I agree. And she's someone that I like a lot in most things when I see her.
I wonder why.
Let's get her I know, right? I always get her mixed up with Isaac Gonzalez.
She told me in the interview that she based her character on AOC.
I saw that. Which I thought was funny because her character like AOC.
She doesn't look unlike AOC though in some ways.
I can see that, but
you could play AOC in the biopic.
In terms of what her character gets to do, she doesn't remind me anything.
Yeah.
Like I get it, she's smart, but everybody in the movie is smart. Like literally every person in the movie is smart. So it doesn't really stand out. So I don't know, man. It's not like they had like a dimwit, like Tom Hardy's character in Venom. He's kind of a dimwit.
Yeah, I always liked that he was kind of like this, Brando-ish character and on the waterfront. He's like, mumbling and stuff.
What'd you think? See, I really did not like the visual effects in this movie either. I don't like as you see in my background, that blue tint that they use for everything, which I find really annoying.
I didn't mind it, but the thing is, I found it hard to criticize the CGI because I mean, sadly, I find that the theaters here have really been falling into disrepair since COVID. Yeah. And there's a theater where they have all the press screenings, and I find that like every movie I've seen there since I got back has looked like shit. And it's weird because they show them in the IMAX cinema, but like the Batman looked really bad. Morbius looked bad, and I just saw Fantastic Beasts 3 and it looked awful, and it's just weird. So I feel like this theater that they do everything in and it's one of our big theaters, that's really kind of affected my enjoyment of a lot of these movies. So it's hard for me to even criticize the visuals, because I know I'm not seeing them the way they were supposed to be seen.
Yeah. I like the idea behind like seeing like, how bats can fly using like air currents and things like that. I like being able to see those effects.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't think they necessarily looked great. I like the idea behind it. And the final fight at the end, which was like almost all CGI, kind of, I don't know, it reminded me of like early CGI when people liked to use that slow down effect and like the CGI characters that look like they're made of rubber, and it looked like that to me.
I remember the dark days when they used to use CGI to like replicate actors' moves. Like, do you remember Romeo Must Die and like Exit Wounds when you get like occasionally like CGI kicks from characters? It was so bad.
Yeah, I was not a fan of this. Who's the director of this again? It's the guy who did Safe House.
Oh, this one, Daniel Espinosa.
He's one of those 50-50 filmmakers.
Hardcore comic book fan though. Like, it seemed excited, but I don't know. Just, the thing that's scary about this though is the cinema score being a C+ for a superhero movie. That tells me there's not going to be a Morbius 2.
Yeah, it's not great. But
I feel like Sony now might look at that and be like, okay, we're done.
and
Like they'll make their money back, but it's not going to be like.
this is the conversation I was having with somebody else. It's like, what do you do? Like, do you pretend that Morbius doesn't exist? I mean, you've got this whole cinematic universe now. You've tied him into other characters already.
I think he'll be. I think you might see Morbius turn up in other movies with Jared Leto playing him, but I don't think you'll get a Morbius 2.
Right. I feel like that's tough.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have Morbius show up, and then I don't know if Leto wants to come back for something like that, where he's just going to be popping in.
I feel like he's probably got an ironclad contract.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems strange. Like I don't know how that works, unless they're going to do like, I mean, they could always do like some sort of Sinister Six style thing, or whatever, or maybe form like their own kind of Avengers sort of thing, and maybe he has a full role in something like that.
It could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I find it interesting too that Michael Keaton now is so prominent in Marvel and DCU. I think he's at like 72. I think he's doing it though so he can do more stuff like Dope Sick. Like.
Oh yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely, this is one of those things that you do so you can do the projects that you love.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting moment for Michael Keaton. Let's put it that way. I just wish Morbius was a more interesting movie. I really did not like it. The last I saw its Rotten Tomatoes score was like 16%.
Yeah, it's bad. It's very bad.
Really bad. And box office wise, I think it made $39 million this weekend.
For a superhero movie, that's not great.
No, it's not great at all.
Not a disaster, but it's not great.
It's not. Yes, it's not great, especially for a Marvel movie coming out of Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't even look good by like Venom standards.
I think they'll probably make their money back though, because apparently it wasn't that expensive. So they'll probably break even.
75 million or something.
Yeah, like that they'll probably break even at least. But I just I think that it's not the breakout that they were hoping for. That's for sure.
Yeah, it should do fairly decently, like overseas, I imagine. So yeah, it should.
Yeah.
Morbius. I don't know what the future holds for you, but we shall see. Maybe in the next movie they'll do some multiverse stuff, and Matt Smith will somehow end up being Morbius.
Who knows? Could happen. He would have been. It's actually not a bad choice though. He might have actually been really good.
Oh man, Chris Bumbray, JoeBull.com, man, joining us to talk about Morbius. This has been great as always, my friend. You got anything coming up you wanna tell people about?
Oh no, I'm off to London tonight actually for some Northman stuff. So if you keep an eye on Joe Blow, you'll see some Northman stuff coming up. Buzz is really good, so I'm hoping it's going to be great. And like everybody else, I'm really excited to see Ambulance when I get back. I'm missing the press screening of it, but I'm psyched to see that movie because it looks like exactly the kind of movie that I want to see. So
I think I've got that in 2 days. I'm super pumped.
Yeah. And I'm missing an unbearable weight of massive talent too. That's showing when I'm away.
I'm sad that I didn't go to the fan screening that they had a couple days ago here. But I had to go to another screening. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully we'll both see it soon enough. But I'm psyched to see Ambulance. That's what I'm going to see it as soon as I get home.
Yeah, Ambulance looks like a lot of fun. Michael Bay, man.
Yeah,
it looks like a decent Michael Bay movie, not like that last he did for Netflix, which was terrible.
It sounds cool though. This one, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. This has been Cinema Royale. I'm Travis Hobson. You can find me every day at punchdrunkcritics.com. You can find me on social media, on Twitter at punchycritic and punchdrunkcritics at PDC Movies. If you're watching this on YouTube, I hope you like and subscribe. And if you're listening to it on your favorite podcast, you know what? Subscribe to that too. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. We will see you later. Bye. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.